My fellow citizens of all nations. We are living in very interesting times where Peter Singer's essay, Famine, Affluence, and Morality, is even more relevant than it has ever been in history. So many new conflicts are breaking out all over the world. The situation is getting tense, and a lot of people are suffering. So Peter Singer's essay about famine, affluence, and morality becomes even more important, especially in the sense that we also have revelation of certain part of Epstein files, and some of the people that are mentioned in Epstein files are also mentioned in this essay as well. So, first of all, let's start with premise of philosophical concept about this work. Basically, main idea is that we as a people, we are evil. Your average person is evil, and what hides behind average person is utter selfishness, utter disregard toward the others, and only selfish motives. Let's start from charity. For example, charity is viewed as something voluntary. You can do charity if you want to, but it's not like you are obligated to do charity. While Peter Singer points out that certain number of money would definitely save certain number of people in countries where people starve. But the thing is that average people are not willing to donate certain amount of money. What I mean by that? Well, people are willing to buy a car as good of a car as they can afford. There'll be brand new second-hand car, etc. For example, let's say their budget is 20,000 or 10,000 or 8,000. Whatever their budget is, they are willing, for example, to pay 8,000 euros or 10,000 euros or 20,000 euros, for example, for a second-hand car, or pay even more money for brand new car, and especially millions if it's like super extravagant cars. And but the people are not, for example, they are not thinking in the terms of, okay, I do have a money for a brand new car right now, but I'm going to buy a bitter, which will cost, let's say, 10,000 euros. And the money I saved, let's say 30,000 or 40,000 euros, I'm going to donate that money to charity because I can drive this reliable car. For example, you can do research and find out which cars are reliable and buy a little bit older car. But this is not how people function, right? People are thinking about themselves. So for example, people might buy a cheap car even if they can afford brand new, but they are saving for themselves the money. So the primary concern is always themselves. And this is a type of society we live in. And to donate to charities, it's if you do it, good job. But if you don't do it, okay, it's okay. You are not basically obligated to do it. The another thing about humanity as a whole and the human nature is that, for example, when certain sufferings happen, right? People are usually thinking that, okay, I'm doing it, but some people might be thinking that at least the governments are going to do something about the suffering of the people. At least if we average people are not helping, at least governments will do something. But the statistics show about, for example, Bengali situation mentioned in his work. Basically, statistics show, for example, that the British government and other governments are like dedicating utter minimum amount of money, and they are willing to spend hundreds and 10 times more on other stuff, for example, but not to help people. So even governments are not really involved in it. And then comes basically billionaires. Like if we say that average people are evil, then how much should billionaires donate? And the interesting sort of thinking here is that majority of the billionaires are selfish people. And if you look at the Epstein files, and if we look at other historical presidencies that's happening right now, for example, invasion of Ukraine, the war in Sudan, and other wars, we see that elites that are incredibly powerful and wealthy, they benefit some way, one way or another, while normal people are dying, right? And it's not like people are bending to somehow oppose it. And that's another interesting thing as well. Why average people don't oppose it? Because average people see themselves in that situation as well. And what I mean by that is that, for example, if you were to give average person a billion and put that person in that position of billions, most likely that person would also behave that same selfish way. Russian oligarchs, for example, that have a tremendous amount of money, right? And let's say they are, first of all, majority of them are deeply entrenched in the system itself. Let's not delude ourselves, but at least if you like, at least provide serious humanitarian support to Russian soldiers, at least that have lost their limbs and that are suffering, so they can live a dignified life. At least for the ones that survived. But no. And same way, for example, in different parts of the world, for example, United States uh, almost is about to produce a trillionaire, while the United States is a country that doesn't have a free healthcare system. So the argument should be, for example, could be that, hey, why won't these people, for example, gather and let's say they don't care about other people and etc. They at least should care about society that enables them to have that much money and etc. And for example, offer society a free healthcare. Why won't these super powerful families and etc. gather to give the United States citizens a free healthcare? Why won't do they that? But yeah, there is enormous profits and enormous interests are involved, and at the same time, the majority of the people basically, and this is sort of thinking of the lower class. Like if you were to think about the pyramid, the lower class, bottom class right now, you would think that the bottom class would be banded together. They would be against the ones that stand above in the high above the pyramid chain. But no, in fact, the opposite is happening. The people on the lower aspect of the pyramid, basically, they are into petty fights. They are into each other's throats. They are within a workplace. It will translate into this petty gossips, fights amongst each other, etc. Because they would rather fight each other rather than confront actual authority that might result in serious consequences. So people at the bottom, very few people, for example, think, right? Majority of the people are cowardly, they are selfish, they are greedy, just like the people, for example, at the top. So it's not like, for example, average person is looking at the person in power and saying, oh, this person, whatever. No, it's like, oh, I wish I was that person and I have the opportunity to become that person. So that's how most people are thinking at the bottom. So it's also interesting observation of society, and you can pretty much double check it. A majority of the culture that exists at the bottom of the society, they are at each other's throats all the time about pettiness, petty things, etc. For example, how many lives were destroyed for nothing, right? For example, you might find yourself in 13 unfortunate situation in your whole life might be ruined as a person at the bottom, but at the same time we see Epstein files, we see hundreds of allegations, but no one did anything because the person was involved with powerful individuals and powerful, for example, allegedly certain secret services as well. So nothing happened. So it's like Arabic proverb which says that thief of a camel will arrest thief of a needle. So thief of a needle will always be punished by thief of a camel. And this is what is happening exactly. While bottom of the society is divided by different things and they are cowardly. So they are at each other's throat, they hate each other, and they wish they were them. It's like people are doing everything, for example, to get married and marry up. Certain groups and etc. So dedicated to just marry up in society, and that's all they care about, to somehow find themselves in that circle or do anything else basically. And this is a reality, but it doesn't mean that everyone is like that, but majority of the people are like that. Let's say you are a person that's suffering in the United States right now because of your health issues and it's cost $10,000 and you cannot really afford it. If you were a billionaire, would you share your billions to people? Now, most likely you would not, right? First of all, you would dedicate that money to cure yourself or prolong your life as much as possible, depending on what type of disease it would be. But you would not stand up and give your money to other people you don't know. Of course, you would save that money for your children or for yourself. That's how most Americans are. And this is also what Peter Singer points out, and this is a reality that I have seen in my life as well. Like most people are just greedy and very selfish. It doesn't mean that everyone is. There are a lot of noble people, and I don't think that it's like situation is as bad as it seems in that sense. But it's not good as well, because people are just uneducated, uninformed, and it's just a fact that majority of the people on the planet don't have $1,000 in their savings account. While we have examples of, for example, very rich people donating a lot of their money as well. The Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, by the way, Bill Gates was mentioned in Epstein files, and as I believe by now I'm recording this video, he publicly apologized to Gates Foundation about basically his affairs with two women, but that's just might be a tip of a iceberg, allegedly. Like, who knows what's in there and what type of questions are there. This is as far as it's known. This is it basically so far about this situation. But nevertheless, we should not ignore these people's dedication to at least dedicate close to 35% of their wealth toward the good cause of like helping just impoverished people around the world, and doing a lot of good things, because I believe that bad things might exist, but it should not be like good things should not be ignored because of bad things, and vice versa. I think credit should be given where it's due. And there is also a great people and very interesting people, and for some people, Kravinsky could be considered a crazy person, basically because he donated almost 45 million of all his money, almost he had, and he donated even his kidney to a person in need. And he's considered an extreme example, and some people are even criticizing him, considering him crazy, and I understand where that point might be coming from. But in certain sense, the society should be teaching every kid this person's first name and last name and what he did and why he did it, because it could be considered an example as well. But unfortunately, and so far, it is not. Now, another thing is about organizations, right? I mentioned the workers and petty workers and etc. But another thing is, for example, that the gigantic corporations that have billions and they can make billions yearly pure profits, for example, they are not willing, for example, to give dignified wages to their own workers so they can afford a dignified life and not suffer from like crisis, their families not to be stressed out because of money and etc. So these corporations are willing to minimize and give as little as possible to these workers so they can suffer. And Peter Singer would ask, and like, where is a fairness in that? Like, if you are a gigantic corporation, for example, that you are known for doing charities, paying celebrities and certain people millions, tens of millions to promote your brand and etc., why don't you, before thinking about like charity stuff and other stuff, why won't you give your workers dignified amount of wage so they can like live dignified life? Why won't you do that? Where is the moral justification for your actions? And there is no moral justification for that type of action. Indeed, there is not. Peter Singer would point it out. I think it's clear. And I think, if I remember correctly, Peter Thiel mentioned it about this, that a lot of people could be pushed toward different ideologies because of this crisis of income and etc. But I will that's a topic for another time. Saying that there are a lot of good people on this planet, a lot of people from all sorts of backgrounds, right? No matter how many assholes we might meet in life, there are bright people on this planet. There are very kind people on this planet as well, with a soul. And I would argue that some people really don't have a soul, if you like objectively analyze their behavior and how they behave and how they treat others and what type of things they are doing to this planet and to themselves and to others. I would argue that certain people on this planet don't have a soul at all, like zero, nothing. There's nothing in them. They simply don't have a soul. And we should not ignore a lot of good, loving people that are trying to do their best to think about themselves and about others as well, and spread love, spread kindness. Planned obsolescence is also one of the things that we could discuss since we're talking about Peter Singer's essay. But I think this is a topic for another video, and can do certain research about planned obsolescence as well if you are interested about it. And I want to end this video by a question. Do you think charity should be mandatory, something that is looked at the must-do thing, or do you think it should be voluntary? Comment down below what you think, and don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you have not already.